I used one of the newest cartridges introduced in the last couple of years to take the longest shot of my hunting career, a crazy, insane 777 yards, one-shot kill. Well, it's January, and you know what that means? New cartridge introductions. Good grief, like we need more centerfire rifle cartridges? Well, it's inevitable. They're just going to crank them out. Yeah, and we haven't even had time to figure out which were the best ones from the last couple of years, but we're going to do it on this episode of Ron Spomer Outdoors. And some folks are going to say, well, all these new cartridges are essentially redundant. We've got cartridges that already do the same thing. Why waste our time? These are worthless. Well, I can agree that they're redundant, but they're not worthless because I used one of the newest cartridges introduced in the last couple of years to take the longest shot of my hunting career, a crazy, insane 777 yards, one-shot kill. The candidates for the cartridge of the year and the 777-yard shot include the 6mm ARC, an unlikely candidate, but it might surprise you, the 6.8 Western, the 27 Nosler, and the 6.5 Weatherby RPM. Starting with the 6mm ARC. Hey, if you'd like to make a guess before you watch the video, put it in the comments, and then we'll do the big reveal at the end, and then let us know if you guessed right or not. Now, the ARC is an advanced rifle cartridge, or at least that's what they called it. But I've got to ask an obvious question. We've already got the .243 Winchester, that's faster. We've got the new 6mm Creedmoor, that's faster. We've got the old 6mm Remington, that's faster. We've got the .240 Weatherby Magnum, that's a lot faster. Why do we need a dinky little 6mm cartridge like this? Well, here's a hint. Same size as the .223 Remington. What does that tell us? Yeah, this is optimized for the AR-15 platform rifles that can't shoot much more than about a 2.260-inch long cartridge. They're trying to get maximum ballistic performance out of an AR-15 platform, and by golly, this little stumper does it. When this first came out, I thought, this is ridiculous. I'm sticking with the .243. But if I were shooting an AR, this might just be the ticket. Look what this thing does. We'll put some numbers up here for you. At 300 yards, which is, I consider, a decent extended range deer shot. Most of us aren't going to be shooting deer farther away than that. And you've got no recoil in that little thing. So why not take a 300-yard shot? Look at the difference. There's only 4.7 inches of drop compared to the .243 with 2.2 inches of drop. That's not a big deal. Look at the wind deflection. There's not even an inch of difference. Energy, you're still over 1,000 foot-pounds with that little guy. So if you're looking for an easy shooting center fire for new shooters, people that just don't like a lot of recoil, don't have a really loud report, even if you don't put it in an AR and you use a bolt action, you're going to get performance that's awfully close to that with these bigger cartridges. So why not? But was this the one that took my 777-yard shot? Yeah. Well, we'll get to the big reveal after we review the next 3 cartridges. So our next candidate is the 6.8 Western. This is a 270, and of course, everybody's going to say, what's wrong with the 270? 270 Winchester's been around since 25. This thing comes out last year. It's redundant. Well, it's a little faster than the 270, but it's not as fast as the 27 Nosler. It's not as fast as the 270 Weatherby Magnum, so it's not even as fast as the 270 WSM. That's the case they used to build this thing with. They just shortened it a little bit. So what's the point? Well, the point is they're chambering this in barrels with fast twist. 1 in 8, 1 in 7.5. That means you stabilize really long, heavy for caliber bullets. Something that 270 Winchester shooters have been wanting for a long time. So you're getting it in this little stumper, and you get it in a short action rifle. Rifles can be a little bit lighter, a little handier, easier to carry around and cycle. Why not? And you're throwing those long bullets a long, long ways. They're going to carry more energy downrange. If you look at the ballistics of that 6.8 Western and you compare them to the 7mm Remington Magnum, you come up with almost the same numbers of drop, drift, and energy on target at long distances. So if you're looking for a 270 that can throw a little bit heavier bullet, this might be your baby. I think it's worth definitely worth a look, and it might hang around, and who knows, it might even replace eventually the 270 Winchester. I'd hate to see it myself, but it could happen. Now, did this take my 777-yard shot? We'll find out after we review the remaining 2 cartridges. Well, talk about redundant. I think we've got it here, the 6.5 Weatherby RPM. That I don't even have on the table, but I can show you what it is. It's a hybrid of these 2 cartridges. They took the 284 Winchester, which is a rebated rim cartridge from the 1960s, and they extended it to the length of essentially a 270 Winchester or a 30-06. So you've got a standard length cartridge with a fatter wall. This is a 1/2-inch diameter, .500 at the head, so you've got more powder capacity. That's essentially creating a 6.5 that's like, say, a 6.5-06 with a little more juice to it. So they're cranking out the energies and reaching levels almost as fast as the 264 Winchester, which is why I say it's redundant. You've got the 6.5 PRC, shoots about to the same velocities as that. You've already got that 6.5 Creedmoor everybody has. That's quite a bit slower, but still, you got 1.65. How many do you need? And then there's the 26 Nosler, which is really screaming, and the 6.5 300 Weatherby. Why don't you just get one of those? Well, barrel burning issues. Everyone's always complaining about barrels burning out too soon. This is not a bad option. 270 class cartridge, maybe 280 Ackley improved 7-rem mag. It's right in the wheelhouse. If you're liking 6.5 millimeters and you like a standard length action, this new one from Weatherby could be the ticket. And they're building it in some incredibly lightweight mountain rifles. So 6.5s, yeah, it's a crowded field, but boy, this one can reach out and touch someone because once again, they've got the fast twist barrel going so you can stabilize those really heavy bullets. Bullets that might just reach 777 yards. Let's find out. Well, the last couple of years have been big for the 277 bullet. The 270s. After years and years of having few choices in 27s, we suddenly got a bunch more, and one of the fastest, probably the fastest in the world, is the 27 Nosler. What they did here was they took the case that they've been using for all of their new cartridges, the 26 Nosler, the 28 Nosler, the 30 Nosler, I think the 33 Nosler. It's the 404 Jeffrey case built into a new shape, a little bit shorter than a full-length Magnum, fits into the 270 or 30-06 standard length rifles, but it's a fatter cartridge, so you're getting more powder in it, so you're going faster. It's all about speed, and by golly, this one can do it. And once again, though, you're looking at the old classic. So many people have a 270 Winchester, and it does so well in so many places for so many species. Why bother with a faster one? Well, you're going to have to ask that question for folks who like fast. When I was a younger man, I liked fast. It's just kind of a natural phase you go through. It's just nice to have that extra reach, and the flatter trajectory is definitely something to crow about. And this guy can definitely reach out there because, you guessed it, once again, long, heavy bullets. They're building these in 8.5-inch twists, sometimes 8-twist barrels. You can throw a pretty heavy bullet and stabilize it when it's real long like that with that fast twist rate. And that means less drifting in the wind, flatter trajectory, and more energy on target downrange. So you're talking elk hunting, mule deer hunting, any kind of a long-range mountain western hunting where you might need to reach out and touch someone. If you want a 277 that's going to do the job, you might consider the 27 Nosler. It's definitely capable of reaching 777 yards, but did I use it on my longest shot ever? Let's find out. Now, before we do the big reveal, I need to thank our patrons for suggesting the topic and supporting us. If you would like to join us on Patreon, just go to patreon.com. Ron Spomer Outdoors would love to have you. Hey, and if you want to watch more videos and a lot more things about guns and ammo and hand loading and the sorts of things we can't necessarily cover on these public forums, go to rsotv.com. It's a subscription service, but we can tell it like it is there. We'd love to have you. Now, what about this 777-yard shot? I have to apologize right up front, guys. I am not an advocate for taking game at extreme ranges. Very, very seldom in my 50-plus years of hunting have I taken a shot over 400 yards, maybe a couple at 500. I can remember making some at 450. Well, how did I ever come up to trying a 777-yard shot? I really didn't want to, and you can slap me upside the head for doing it, but It was special circumstances. They were introducing a new cartridge, and there I sat with the rifle in my hands and this cartridge, and on the range, I was banging steel consistently at ridiculous ranges. It had a custom dial loophole scope on top of that rifle. And if I dialed to 525 yards and engaged a steel target at that distance, I smacked it. The rifle was grouping under an inch at 100 yards, so that's a sub-MOA rifle. The velocities were consistent, 2,832 feet per second, pretty consistently. Sometimes they'd go up 5 or 6 and maybe down 5 or 6, but boy, that kept them on target way out there. So I am shooting for a couple of days and really getting comfortable with this rifle and cartridge. I still intend to get close to my game as I always do, but as it broke down, the deer was at 777 yards and the wind had absolutely died at sunset. We had about a half hour of light left, and I had a steady rest against me. I had a steady rest out in front of me. I had a guide behind me watching the shot. He took a laser range. He said 777. I took a laser range hit in front of him, 775. We hit him a couple more times. The deer stopped. It stood, and I was aiming, and I was steady on his chest, and I thought, man, this is crazy. This is probably even foolish, but I'm going to launch it. Bang! 1 second for that bullet to get there. I heard a big whoomp come back a couple of seconds later. It takes a long time for that sound to travel that far. Came out of recoil, and that deer was down with one shot. And what bullet did it? What cartridge did it? There's the bullet. There's the cartridge. The 6.8 Western, and that's my pick for the best new cartridge of the last couple of years. Now, I can't blame anybody who likes to shoot light recoiling, efficient little rifles, especially AR-15s. I would definitely pick the ARC if I were in that category, but I just prefer bolt action rifles. By the way, you can get these in a bolt action too, and that pushes another 200 or so feet per second out of them. You can get those things up to 2,850 feet per second. This guy's going at 2835, got a high BC bullet, got a little more energy downrange. I'm still going to try to keep my shots inside of 400 yards and inside of 300 yards if I can, but it's nice to know that these new bullets with long, high BC bullets, new cartridges that push them at pretty reasonable velocities without a lot of recoil, we really do have some interesting new products coming onto the market. Whether or not they're going to ever take over from the old timers, only time can tell. But you guys might want to check them out. The hottest new cartridge for the last couple of years, my pick is the 6.8 Western. I think it's going to stay around. And in an AR-15, I will go with that 6mm ARC. Hey, thanks for watching. See you next time.